Shanghai. In Chinese, the name means above the sea. Shanghai was a small fishing town until the middle of the 19th century when European invaders, seeking wealth, power, and the mysteries of Asia, came from across the seas. The foreigners made of it the city of their fantasies. For them, Shanghai was a city of glamorous spies, lavish brothels, and opium dens. Above all, it was the gateway to illicit profit and enormous wealth. Today, Shanghai is once again a Chinese city. This boulevard is in the former British concession. In those days, a sign used to read, "No Chinese or dogs allowed." Photography has only recently become popular. Everywhere you look, someone is posing for a shot. All the commotion is over a Westerner who is having his picture taken. In a neighborhood once reserved exclusively for foreigners, today it's the foreigner who draws a crowd, especially if his hair is a little long. These large, heroic murals are painted directly on the walls. Wooden chests take the place of closets here. In the spring, the traditional season for weddings, hundreds of chests like these are carried through the streets. All over China, people say, in Shanghai, if you wiggle your little finger, everyone knows about it. The people of Shanghai are said to be a little too nosy. This crowd formed when two bicyclists got into an argument. We kept our distance. If we had stepped in, 10 times as many people would have gathered.
Have you been working here for a long time? Yes, for quite a while. About 30 years. Now you sell candy and cakes. What kind of shop was this before? It was the same. Candy, cakes, pies. The shop next door belonged to a Frenchman. This one was owned by a Chinese. And now the two shops have been made into one? It's been one shop since the transformation of private enterprise. This used to be part of the French concession, didn't it? Yes, that's right. What was this street like before? It used to be part of the French concession. The area was corrupt and decadent. Not at all like it is today. It was a kind of red light district for the capitalists who indulged in all kinds of corrupt pleasures. But workers almost never came here. The regulars were the capitalists, the bosses. What happened to the former owner? He's gone. He left in 1956, at the beginning of the transformation of private enterprise. He was given permission to leave. After that, these two shops were made into one large one.
Small restaurants and food stands fill the streets. Each one offers its daily special. All prices are based on the pound. 90 fens is equal to 45 cents a pound. The average salary is about 65 yuan a month, or $30. Food costs 10 to 12 yuan per person per month. Rent usually comes to less than 5% of the family income. Other services, including medical care, are practically free, and there are no taxes. $50 fens, that's about 20 cents for a cauliflower. Meat, fish, vegetables, and cakes are all readily available. Since the 1960s, when a series of droughts and floods ruined the crops, cotton, oil, and rice have been rationed. But now even these items are plentiful. Rationing has become more a question of preventing waste than scarcity of supply. Embroidered handkerchiefs are exchanged by young people as tokens of love. All businesses, even these small shops, are government-owned and operated. They are under the jurisdiction of the Shanghai city government. Barber shops and beauty parlors are run this way too. Everyone who works here gets a salary. When the shop shows a profit, part goes to the city, and the rest is used to make improvements.
Could you tell us if there's a fashion in hairstyles now? Yes, there is. What's in style? For young people, we do a young cut. For the others, we choose a style that suits their age. In general, the style depends on the age and the taste of the client. It depends on the customer. Some prefer braids. Others like simple styles. Young women like having their hair set. I like my own hairstyle, for example. Do you like the hairstyle you're doing right now? Our policy is to please the customer. We're serving the people.
A Westerner has a hard time discerning the latest style in Chinese clothing. But there are fashions and styles in China, and for the most part, they are created in Shanghai. These styles are subtle. They depend on the detail of a fold, the position of a pocket, the fitting of a shoulder. In Peking, they say that the inhabitants of Shanghai are too frivolous, but whenever they visit, they have a suit made here. The buildings in the central city are a reminder of the days of imperialism. The city is huge. 12 million people live in Greater Shanghai, including suburban communes administered by the city. Shanghai's responsibilities extend beyond handling its own affairs. The national government delegates some of its responsibilities to large cities like Shanghai. The departments of mechanical industry and transportation are two of the branch offices located here. Hard work is the legacy of past oppression and colonization. That is why Chinese leaders have often declared that China belongs to the third world and that its economy is still underdeveloped. It is clear that the Chinese must work hard if they want to become economically developed. Working hard means using everything you have, from recycling and repair shops to the development of heavy industry. Shanghai is a major industrial center. Its 2 million workers are part of a long revolutionary tradition. Zhou Enlai led a great workers' rebellion here in 1927. 40 years later, at the height of the Cultural Revolution, the Shanghai workers again played a decisive role. During the intense political struggle, they helped tip the balance toward the left. Shanghai is known for its wide boulevards, but it's also a city of many side streets lined with small houses. The life of the household often overflows onto the street. tinker, a knife grinder, an eyeglass repairman. Craftsmen like these still practice their trades individually. The street noise was deafening. We had to go up into a terrace to interview these two policemen.
Our two main responsibilities concern traffic regulation. The first is our accident prevention program, and the other is on-the-spot traffic control. As my comrade just said, we go to the work groups, factories, organizations, and schools to give out information. Our job is to explain things clearly. We use a blackboard, and we post up dadzibaos, which are handwritten wall posters. We write out the traffic regulations, and we give examples of actual accidents in order to explain how the accidents happened and to learn from them. The important thing is to educate the drivers and the bicycle riders in the spirit of Mao Zedong's thought and in the spirit of socialism. We pay special attention to the way people relate. We do our work with this in mind. The most important thing is for people to care about each other and help each other out. That's why, even if someone breaks a rule, I can let him go on his way. I'm not sure I've explained it clearly. Yes, it's very clear. Those are our two main jobs. Yes, those are our two main tasks, right? Yes, those are our two main jobs. In general, people do care about each other and respect each other. It's very important to have safe streets. For the most part, the rules are well kept. But there are some people who don't obey the rules because their consciousness is low. We call it consciousness here. Or because it's too inconvenient. That's why we emphasize people's attitudes towards each other. You can see for yourself that the street's been taken over by pedestrians, and that the bicycle riders and drivers don't always stay in the right lanes. That's why we work on people's concern for one another. If a pedestrian walks in the street and not on the crosswalk, the cars still have to give him the right of way to avoid an accident. Just because someone breaks a rule doesn't mean you have the right to run him over. You can't do that. That's why we work on improving people's respect and concern for others, as well as on regulations. It's very important. What do you do when there's a traffic violation? When there's a violation, we emphasize education. We explain what the dangers and consequences are of ignoring traffic laws. We also hand out penalties, but only to reinforce the lessons we teach. When education isn't enough or doesn't solve the problem, then we resort to penalties. There are 3 categories of traffic violations. 3 categories: minor, serious, and very serious. For example, a minor one is when a driver goes through a stop sign. Then, just a warning is enough. That's a bad thing to do. Don't do it again. Move on. And we let him go. For the most serious cases, we also use education. We try to make them understand that it's prohibited because it's dangerous. You may have seen in our streets a situation in which the people themselves took part in criticizing the offenders to make them aware of their mistakes. There are also other examples. Let's say we're dealing with a problem and the people in the streets don't agree with us. They say what they think about it, and if it's valid, we try to take it into account and reevaluate our position. If what they say isn't helpful, well then, someone else will help us out. What do you do when there's an accident? We refer back to the regulations and study the particular case. That's the first thing we do. Then we decide how much responsibility each person has for the accident. We have to be very thorough. When there's an accident, we inform their groups, that is, the work groups of each person involved, of the person that caused the accident, and of the victim. We call in the representatives of these groups, as well as eyewitnesses. That could be me. It could be someone else. We ask them to come in and discuss the accident. We ask them to discuss it with us. Yes, that's right. We ask them to discuss it together and to decide who's responsible. We all talk it over, and that's it. There are other situations too. For example, when a peasant comes from the country, bringing vegetables to town, he's driving a cart. He comes from the country, so he doesn't know the traffic regulations. We deal with this case differently. It depends on the situation. That's right. For example, if a worker from Shanghai runs into the peasant's cart, usually it's the worker who pays damages to the peasant, but not automatically. You have to examine the situation. The peasant arrives in Shanghai after a long trip. In this case, we appeal to human qualities of solidarity and people's concern for each other. In this instance, the workers and the people of Shanghai would gladly pay the peasant's expenses. We have to raise people's consciousness and their sense of concern for one another. Last year, there were 9 accidental deaths here in Huangpu, the downtown area. 9 deaths, and almost all 9 were caused by speeding.
The policewoman is broadcasting some advice to the public. Revolutionary comrades, please stay on the sidewalk. Do not walk in the street. When you cross the street, please use the crosswalks and walk quickly. In order to protect human life and for the sake of our nation, I sincerely hope that all of you will develop the true spirit of safety and revolution. We visited an exhibit of selected drawings done by school children.
Look at him. He's taking a picture. And that's a bridge. And there's a chicken. That man looks very serious. And him, he's drawing. The boy who did it is 14. His leg looks broken. It's shorter than the other one. It's all twisted. And the lighting's wrong too. I would have drawn it from a different angle.
This drawing is called Me.
What are the goldfish swimming in? In a bowl? In a bowl, that's right. Let's look over here. What's that? Some grandpas are going for a walk. Who did this drawing? I did. And who's in the drawing? The People's Police? Ah, the People's Police. And what happened to your friend? What happened? Did she get lost? Yes, at the Tilam Bridge. And then what happened? She was crying. And then what did the lady do? The policewoman took her home, didn't she?
The exhibit's director told us that in his opinion, you see too much of the teacher's influence in a few of the drawings.
Are you good at the barbers? No, you're not good. Yes, I am. You see how good they are? You have to be good at the barbers. You have to let them cut your hair. You see them? They aren't crying. You see? I don't cry. Are you sure? I don't cry. Look at the chicken. Look at the chicken. I can't see. It's too high.
In the old foreign concession, the once famous brothels of Shanghai no longer exist. When we asked the British naval officer what he does nowadays when he stops over in Shanghai, he replied, I eat in restaurants, I visit exhibits, and I go to the zoo. A ride in one of the three-wheeled taxis made here in Shanghai costs only a few cents. The practice of tipping no longer exists. We spoke with one young driver who didn't even know the meaning of the word tip. These people walking in the rain are a group of factory workers. They're on their way to the countryside to spend some time living and working with the peasants. Shanghai has a tropical climate. It rains a lot. The temperature can get quite hot, and it's seldom cold. The houses are not heated. The launching of a ship is a political happening. Up until the Cultural Revolution, China depended on other countries for its commercial fleet. In this realm, as well as in all others, China has been aiming at self-sufficiency. Shanghai, for a long time the symbol of colonization in Asia, is today a revolutionary stronghold. The Chinese say, the east wind prevails over the west wind. The revolutionary wind prevails over the reactionary wind. And they've named this boat the Wind and the Waves.